When you thought about waking up this morning, you're like, I told someone I'm going to go to the Global Vision Conference, and here I am. It has to be worth it. Now, we're only 4 speakers in, and if you're not feeling it, I don't know what to tell you, but you have to be feeling it, right? We have Joanna talking about imagination. Elisa, think about that, talking about perseverance. You're going to hear a lot of key words today: authenticity, vision, imagination. Just get it done. So keep listening to those key words. They're going to activate you. They're going to uplift you. And so our next speaker, I love this dude because he's a military guy, so he's strong, but he's got a warm heart, and he's the father of daughters just like me. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Mr. Ryan Bell. Good morning.
Awesome. I'm super excited to be here. Third time's a charm. I want to start with my vision. My vision is to activate as many leaders as possible. Next, I want to go into one of the things that I'm most grateful for in this world, and that's the men and the women that developed themselves deeply, that gave them the capacity and the perception and the ability to see things in me that I couldn't see in myself when they were around me. I wouldn't be, without a shadow of a doubt, the man that I am today if it wasn't for the men and the women in my life who invested in me, without a shadow of a doubt. My childhood, where I come from, I'm going to keep it very brief, but there's a lot of children who go through some very dark times, and I know what it's like to not believe that what I now believe is possible for me was possible for me. First 13 years of my life, I dealt with, well, we'll keep the room PG, but some very dark stuff. And there was one man in my life who changed everything. And the thing about this man is he had no idea the impact that he had on me. Had no idea, but this man lives in my heart every day. I'm the man I am today. I'm the father that I am today. I was the soldier that I was because of this man and the investment that he made in me. When I got to high school, I joined ROTC. I had an ROTC instructor named Daniel G. Hernandez. This man changed my life. Fought in Vietnam, spent 30 years in the Marine Corps. I spent 3 years with him in high school, and he had no idea that the rest of my life was going to be catapulted in a direction that I never could have imagined because of the mentorship and the leadership that he provided me for 3 years of our high school time together. What does it take to become a man like that? I saw it. As I grew up and I spent 8 years in the Army, I looked around and I started to find men like him, men who cared about the other people around them, men who wanted to invest in the soldiers around them to help them elevate themselves and become their best self. So I want to leave you with something today. And there's 3 things that I learned that really it's at the heart of being that person to make that impact, to live significantly, to make a difference, to walk into a room and walk out and know that it's better because you were there. First thing, I learned this from one of my favorite men in the world, Mr. Jim Rohn. He goes, first and foremost, you need to develop a personal philosophy. Who are you? What do you stand for? What's the difference you want to make? You've got to decide what your principles are, what your values are, and how you want to live. Don't worry about anything else. Everything else falls into place after that, first and foremost. Second, I was fortunate enough at 18 years old, I found myself in the middle of the Iraq desert in a little war-torn building, ridden with bullet holes. And I was surrounded by a group of men who, regardless of the environment we were in, there's things that you need to learn in this environment in order to fit in. One day, you would never know that there was a bunch of men in this little war-torn building. But at the end of the night, for operational security reasons, I'll keep his name off the radar. He said, Private Bale, tomorrow I want you to bring me a Reese's Pieces. Threw me off. I was like, Roger. The next day I showed up, brought him a Reese's Pieces. I'm 18 years old in the middle of a combat zone in a room surrounded by men watching me walk into the room with this Reese's Pieces the next day. I walked up to this gentleman, hand it to him. He looks at it. He looks at me. He looks up, and he starts looking around the room. I'm like, he's counting. He asked me, what in the hell am I supposed to do with this? I immediately knew what the lesson was. And he looked me dead in my eyes. He said, the next time you walk into this room and you think about anybody other than everybody, don't come in here. Roger. Find you some of those friends. If you don't have a friend like that, get one. Third thing I want to share with you, I want to tell you a little story about service and how just living a life of service will bring you to places and people that you couldn't imagine. My neighbor and I, he doesn't live there anymore, but we spend a lot of time in our yards. He's got a lot of fruit, pineapples, star fruit. One day, me and this neighbor, we're getting to know each other. We're out in the yard, chilling, talking. He gets a phone call. He answers his phone, and 2 or 3 minutes go by, and I'm just standing there, and then he's still on the phone, but he gets down on his hands and his knees, and he starts pulling weeds in his garden while he's on the phone, while I'm just standing there. And that went on for about 30 seconds, and then I went back. I always go back to the Army. I think about this. What would they do? What would they do? In the Army, there's a saying, if you got time to lean, you've got time to clean. And I saw this man down on his hands and knees on the phone, pulling weeds, and I wasn't pulling weeds. I was like, well, I guess I know what I need to be doing. Got on my hands and knees, started pulling weeds. This man gets off the phone. The first words out of his mouth are, I got to introduce you to my sister. Okay. Had no idea where this was going. I was like, when? He goes, you got time right now? Like, right now? He's like, yeah, let's go. Let me go get my shoes. I was barefoot. Get in the truck, drive down the road. He took me to Rob and Camille's house. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for me just taking an opportunity to just find a place to serve, just for the sake of serving. Brought me into a room with Rob and Camille. My life hasn't been the same since. So there's 3 things I want to recap. Make sure that these sink in and you can take them with you and pass them on. 1, develop yourself a personal philosophy. Know what you stand for. You are who you choose to be. 2nd, find you some of those friends. 3rd, can't find one of those friends? To be one. They'll find you. Thank you.
We started the conference. The funnest thing I did was like politicking, and he put him on a Zoom with these 2. And I said, this is the Global Vision Conference. The beauty and innocence and purity of children, all of us. And these 2 came on. They were Johnny Popcorn. That's what they call me. This is the vision. This is the movement. This is Johnny's Movies and Popcorn Company. This is love.
Nicely done, Ryan, as always. Again, listen to the key words. Listen to what Ryan was saying. Dedication, service. You're going to hear a lot of this. Gratitude, vision, authenticity, vision. Again, vision, imagination.